guys. Go ahead.
Was today the final day of training camp as you see it?
No, it's our last practice. We got to walk through tomorrow and then final preseason game. That's how I do see it.
How do you see it going at left guard right now, Kyle? Does it feel like it's close to being decided, or is there still a lot up in the air there?
I mean, it's close to being decided, and it needs to be close. You know, today is the second to last day that we'll get to evaluate. We'll get it on the game. So, you know, you got Connor and you got Carver, who are both competing there, and we got Rob Jones, who's been hurt. So we got to balance that off, not having him the last 2 weeks. But that's something we'll discuss and decide on who we want to play in week 1.
What's the long term with the prognosis with him and with Pleasance? How long do you expect them out?
Who was him?
Jones and Pleasance.
We expect him back when we're on Australia.
So they'll get on the plane.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully we'll get him for our 3 practices before we go.
And just to kind of catch up, was Rourke a broken rib?
Yeah.
And is that similar to what the other broken rib was, like 3 games?
No, it was different. Jordan James's was worse, just where it was. He's close this week. Probably he won't go tomorrow or Thursday, but should be good after that.
And then one more, Romello Height. What was he out?
Romello ankle.
And then one more off that. Is Christian Kirk's situation something where he would be a candidate for IR to start the season?
Yes, possibly. You know, we got a number of guys like that, so we got to just see how that pans out here over the next few days.
Would Aaron Lowe be one of those?
Yes.
How hard or easy is it to make a final cut with so many guys, and you've been through this before, I think just last year, not knowing, I mean, you have to make a call, okay, he will be ready for 1 or week 2, or where is the mindset with this much in flux injury-wise?
It's tougher. That's why you want as long as possible. You know, them moving it up this year on Sunday, you know, with us leaving to Australia so soon, so it just makes it a little bit harder to guess where those guys are going to be at. There's a difference, so I mean, most of our guys, you know, besides Ricky and everything, we know are going to be all right. How good are they going to be week 1? How good are they going to be week 2? Those are things we got to balance out. But when you know they're going to be healthy within those first 4 weeks, then it's not as complicated. It's frustrating because you'd like them to be there right away, but if they're not going to be healthy after 4 weeks, then you can decide about PUP and things like that.
The new PUP rules where guys can practice weeks 3 and 4 if they start the season up, PUP, make it easier with Michael and.
Yeah, we're allowed 2 of them now, which is huge. You know, because it's always tough when you put guys on PUP that they're not allowed to practice. But it's really good to get 2 of those guys back earlier.
Do you have a timetable for Nick Bosa, and how is he doing?
He's doing good. Hoping that he can get into practice next week, and we'll see how those 3 days go after the mandatory 3 days off.
Do you have any kind of a pitch count or anything on Kittle right now as far as practice reps?
No, I mean, we've just been having him go with non-competitive periods, you know, so that's the first 4 periods, routes on air, things like that, just working with the quarterbacks, working with the O-line. Hoping next week when we get those 3 practices after the mandatory 3 days off, hopefully you can get in there a little bit more.
You plan to play the starters?
What's that?
Do you have any update on Mike Evans?
Yeah, Mike had his groin is tight, hoping to get him back next week also.
Kyle, what's the plan for the final preseason game as far as how much the starters will play, if they play at all?
I don't think you'll see many starters. We just don't have enough time as we usually do, so I'll be surprised if any of them are out there. There might be a couple, but it'll be closer to how week 1 was.
Obviously, the news yesterday morning about Jed. Have you had an opportunity to talk to him, or just kind of what's your view and where things are with the organization moving forward?
Yeah, I got to talk to Jed the last 2 days and today. Obviously, it's a very tough situation. I mean, views for the organization going forward is the same as usual. I mean, there won't be any difference in that. But I know it's extremely fresh. I think it's a very, very personal situation. I got a lot of respect for Jed. I got a lot of respect for Danielle. Their family does mean a lot to me. So I'm like, you know, with it being this personal, I'm trying as hard as I can to keep it that way. So
Your message to the guys today, what was that?
I don't need much of a message to the guys. I think that's kind of irrelevant to our guys.
Practically, is it possible that Jed will be away from the team for a while, or just not as much as a presence?
I mean, it's been like that this summer anyways, you know, with him being out in Ohio and things like that. So it'd be no difference right now. He hasn't been here for training camp.
Does that work, like, as decisions get made up at China, maybe there hasn't been one of those, does it go to somebody else? Has it still got to be Jed?
No, I think, no, it's the same as always. I mean, Jed has been as good as it gets since I've been here on letting the football people make football decisions. I mean, Jed always wants to be informed and a part of things, but Jed has been exactly what he said he would be, and letting us make those decisions. And he always wants to know about them and stuff, and whether he's here in the building or a text away or on a phone call, that doesn't change anything.
I've noticed Al Guido on the field talking to you during camp. Is he sort of picking up the slack on site while Jed's not here?
No, no, there's no difference. I'm sure he does in other spots, but my answer is, like, from a football standpoint, you don't see much with football standpoint from Al or Jed.
Will you be calling plays Thursday?
No,
But you will week 1, I imagine.
most likely.
Kyle, between your accident and the whole story with Jed, is there any impact, do you think, on the football and on the team in any way?
I mean, I don't get how my story has an impact on the team. I mean,
Or just the fact, you know, some people say these are distractions. In any way, does it impact the football in any way?
no. Just questions you got to answer.
Kyle, you were jogging for a bit. Are you 90% now, would you say? How close are you?
As far as jogging,
What you went through?
yeah, I can probably run like a 5.240 right now, I'd hope. Actually, I probably couldn't. Still not that strong, but I wasn't before the injury, so the same as I've always been.
Coach, you mentioned that just the questions you'll have to be that'll be asked. You have to remind your players not to let it be a distraction, because not only will they be asked here, but when they go to Australia, their media is going to ask about that. You have to remind them.
Yeah, I think you got to always be smart when you have situations like that, just to not make it more, not make yourself a part of it. But that's what these guys deal with their whole careers. I mean, they got cameras in them all the time. They got cameras in their face right after games when they're not feeling right or something very emotional could have happened. So, you know, when dealing with, I feel something like this is actually easier for them than some of the stuff they have to deal with in the heat of battle with things more personal to themselves.
When it comes to the way the team is run, you guys, the green law, so many guys are always very vocal about how well it's run and how well and what this team stands for. I mean, obviously, you kind of mentioned about the offseason things being, you know, detached from the play on the field. But do you have to reassure, especially the young guys, that this franchise stands for a specific thing and carries things out a specific way?
Yeah, I think what people speak highly of and how this is ran, I think it's ran from a complete football standpoint. I think that's what's refreshing here. We have a building that doesn't, I've been a lot of places, but sometimes, you know, there's a bad article and you got to answer to people who aren't involved in football about how you feel about your defense coordinator. You get a punt blocked and there's bad articles and you got to answer to people about firing your special teams coach. Someone gives up something or they got to get a bad PFF grade and you got to answer to non-football people about who you're starting. I think that's what people love about this place. Jed's trusted over the football to people who are involved in football, and players feel that. I've been in too many other buildings where things do trickle down, and when they trickle down and things don't totally make sense, that wears on players also, more than anything. I think here is pretty black and white for them. They know it's always football decisions. Everything's always been football decisions, and because they know Jed's put us in charge of making those.
The Australia trip's about a week away. How excited are you to make that trip?
Try and get me in trouble. I mean, I'm just hoping our team's healthy enough and has the time to get there. Those are the challenges of it. You know, just to get there to prepare for it. You know, guys still trying to recover to get there, the plane flight and things like that. But once you do get there and stuff, we're going to have fun playing in another country. And it's going to be a cool atmosphere, things like that. That'll all be good. But right now, I'm just thinking of the challenges of getting our team ready for those 3.5 hours.
I really asked you about, like, you're going really early. The Rams are going pretty late. Was there an intention to get there super early to make sure you're totally, you know, have a feel for the place? Just what was the thought process in that scheduling?
More just, I mean, I would love to just show up the day before and just play, but I'm not the best when it comes to the science and everything on that stuff. So you ask people who've done it a number of times, you ask people who study it, you take all their opinions in. We've been strongly recommended to, you know, when you got a 19-hour flight and it's a 16-hour something difference. I forgot because I haven't asked since we were making these decisions. But it's a big adjustment on the body. So the recommendation for everybody has been to tell us when to go, and it's made a lot of sense, and I know how our players feel also. I was a little bit on the fence. Science wasn't what I was reported on, and our players weren't at all, so that helped me get off the fence.
Even though Jed is not involved in the football side of things, he is the face of this organization. When a situation like this arises, is it really your view that this has no effect on the team, on the organization as a whole?
My view is, as the coach, does it have an effect on us as a team? And that's what I continue to answer on. From a football standpoint, it has no effect on us. I mean, as far as what we do day to day, what we talk about, and hasn't been mentioned in a meeting today, it doesn't have to do with what happens on the field. Everything outside of there, I think you guys can judge that better than me.
Kyle, just three more guys that weren't at practice today. Just updates on Pooney, Cowing, and Stout.
Pooney had some residual effects. He was in the protocol, got out. He complained of some residual things after practice today, so he's most likely back in it. Who else?
Cowing and Stout.
Cowing has growing. He's similar with Mike, hoping to get him back next week. And Stout, I don't want to get it wrong. Stout, hip flexor, expecting him back next week.
Kyle, when you guys traded for OCD Zuid, I mean, you knew what kind of player you were getting, but what have you seen in these 4.5 weeks from him, especially since the pads went on?
It's been how we were kind of expecting. We knew we were getting a good player, and so we've seen that. I didn't know how the type of guy he fully was until we started really hearing it from around the league and people from there, and that's been cool to go through this whole camp with him. He's exactly how he's advertised. I mean, he's a true leader. He goes hard as can be every day. That's why he gets really annoying for the O-line, just because of how hard he goes. They've been battling all camp. He's made us better. I think we've made him better, and I'm real excited to have him on our team.
Coach, do you have a good idea, all you had to juggle with the injuries, do you have a good idea of what your team can be this year? Or are you still kind of, I gotta wait to see if this guy gets back, that player gets back?
Yeah, it's the same as always. I mean, you got a decent idea in camp. You got a decent idea before you go to camp when you see what's on paper to know where you have a chance, but you want to see how it all comes together. I've had times where we've had a completely healthy camp, and that's changed in the first 2 weeks, and then you have to adjust throughout the year. And I feel like we've done that. I've had times where we've been beat up in camp and you're worried about stuff, and the season's gone really well in terms of injuries. So I've been doing this a long enough time that I feel like you've almost been in every situation when it comes to those things. So I try not to get too high or low with the stuff. Yeah, it's frustrating when you only have so many days to prepare for week one that you want everyone out there. But I've learned enough not to overreact on it too much. That things that I really struggle with is when you lose a guy for the year like we did Ricky. Those are the harder ones. But I used to get upset with every little injury, but unless it's a long time, I've learned life's too short to get too upset about it. It can end up being all right.
Two more guys.
Pearsall, is it somewhat encouraging? I'm sure it is encouraging to see what Dejon Stribling has been able to do through the first 2 preseason games, and is it more than you guys expected at this point in the preseason?
No, I mean the preseason games that don't mean that much to me. And the coverages went that way. He happened to get targeted, so and he made those plays. But he's been doing that in practice too. So he's where we expected him to be, and we hope to not have to use him quite as much early on with Ricky and stuff out there. But we believed he was talented enough and made it the right stuff that he could be if needed. And just losing Ricky just ups that a little bit. You have to use him a little sooner than you prepared. But that's stuff that happens all the time.
Just amid all the adversity of the teams, kind of stuff, including injuries, obviously, it's not necessarily a distraction, but that's what we're calling it today, right? Talk about the team's adversity and how they've been resilient through this time. And has it been difficult at all just to really remain focused solely on football amid everything going on?
Well, the one thing that went on yesterday I don't think pertained to our players much. And if you guys talk about me getting in a car accident, I think that's kind of a joke that people think that's a distraction to our team. So I think it's been training camp as usual.
Kyle, you're in Australia. That means flu season. Any advice for the players that game?
With winter?
Yeah, flu season. Get shots?
No, I don't think about those things. It's good to know it's winter. We won't be like playing in Tampa or anything in September, so that's good to know.
You guys traded
yesterday? All right, awesome.
Traded yesterday for the Deion Jones trade went through. You don't have many days until that roster's got to be set. Is there going to be urgency to maybe trade for guys at
positions where you still have question marks right now? Like, is there an urgency to get moves done?
Yeah, there is always. I mean, we're going to have once the game's over on Thursday, that's what's nice about playing Thursday, we'll get it to have 3 days before it has to be final on Sunday. So it gives our personnel department, which they work on nonstop. So they have tons of guys at every position. You're always, that's why I always tell everyone the final 53, all that means is the final 53 that day. I mean, this is the NFL. You are having to prove this every single day, and even if you feel comfortable because you beat everyone else on the roster, our personnel department is getting a list of people who don't make other rosters to see if they're better than our last guy. So that's something that they always look at. We'll have 3 days to catch up on that, and then you decide, are those guys going to get cut? Is there a trade to make it happen before the cut? But that's why it's extremely fluid all the way up to the cut down and after.
It's just a little different this time because they have to be on the plane with you on Wednesday.
Yeah, that's one of their bigger challenges. You know, just having to get our practice squad ready, all that stuff, a lot sooner than other teams are going to have to.
All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thanks, guys.
Don't ever say just Fred.
So much pressure.
Hello. I know. Anyway. Go ahead. Football questions, I'm sure.
From Larry Ward today out there. From Larry Ward, rookie Larry Ward.
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
Larry Ward, linebacker, undrafted rookie.
Oh, Larry, yeah, Larry. Larry just continued to get better, man. I've loved what I've seen from Larry. From the moment he came onto the team, you know, you expect rookies to come in and bring great energy, and I think he's done that. And he's continued to get better at playing the position. I know he has a safety background, but learning how to stack off the ball, linebacker, using his hands, getting on and off blocks, being a physical player, you know, I think he's done a great job.
All right, so Kyle said that, you know, Jed's arrest had no effect on the team and the field. I mean, it's impossible to ignore and not see what's going on. So what's been the talk in the locker room among you guys about Jed? And you've obviously known him for so long. So what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, no, I mean, Cam, we're all aware, right? I think we all have social media, so we see things. But at the same time, you know, I got a lot of love, a lot of respect for Jed, and don't feel the need to comment on the situation. I think the team is kind of the same way. Like, it really wasn't a conversation being had in the locker room. Of course, yeah, you notice it, but at the same time, we're so hyper-focused in this building of trying to prepare for week one. You know, a lot of guys are on the bubble trying to make the team. So, you know, we're just trying to get better as a football team and letting that you know, it's a personal situation, letting it stay personal with him.
You obviously had Kyle's accident at the beginning, the start of camp. You have this. I know they're not the same thing at all. They're not the football team, but does it just hit you like there's a lot of stuff been going on outside this team this last few weeks?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really put that together until you just spoke on it, because if I'm being so, you know, honest about it, training camp is a beast in itself when it comes to just football and preparing yourself for what a 17-game season entails. Kyle's done a tremendous job of, you know, recovering and being present for us as the head coach, and you know, it's been a seamless transition for, you know, what he went through. We're so, like I said again, like, we're so hyper focused on what we got to do on the field, that kind of stuff that may get, you know, there's different narratives and things that are talked about, maybe whether it's social media or amongst you guys and everything, or amongst the fans. In here in this building, it truly is all about football and trying to make sure we have the best product on the field for everybody, right? For ourselves and for everybody that's counting on us. So, I mean, that truly hasn't really been a thought in my mind or the rest of the team, I'd say.
Through the spring and even early in camp, when you were asked how different you think the defense is going to look this year, I think you've said we'll see. Now that you've been through basically all of camp here, how different do you think things are going to look on that side of the ball this year?
Yeah, I mean, it is going to look a little different. We do have similarities as well of things that we've run in the past, so it's just really a blend of putting those things together and running them as seamlessly as possible. You know, the thing that will always remain the same is the style of play. I always talk about, right, the speed, the physicality, the energy that we bring, with little wrinkles here and there as to what we'll run in the season. But, you know, it is a blend at the end of the day. So I guess we'll have to see week one what that looks like.
Is it enough difference for you that this camp has been a little more challenging in some ways, just in terms of the things you need to be aware of, getting guys lined up, things like that?
No, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I think that part's always come to me pretty naturally. And like I said, there is a lot of stuff that I've already done in the past that we're still doing. And so for me, it was honestly just getting back to form, having not played football in a long time, which that happened pretty quickly for me. And yeah, just continuing to get reps. You know,
you and Brock have been chirping back and forth for years now. We noticed it the other day. Brock was particularly loud.
Can hear everything, huh?
Is that the most I don't know animated you've seen him, and is it more so this year? I mean, has it been growing year to year with him?
Yeah, it's definitely. I think it's been a growth, and you know, I love Brock with all my heart. I love everything that he's about, the competitor that he is. You know, the confidence that he exudes now to send it back to me, you know, as long as I'm a far enough distance away and can't retaliate. No, I'm just kidding. But, yeah, man, I mean, that's great. At the end of the day, for me personally, I'm trying to create an environment that is as game-like as possible, right? And Brock's the same way. I think when him and I are going like that, you know, and I'm chirping at him, I'm chirping at the offense all day, and they're sick and tired of it, and they finally get me, and you got the whole offense cheering, because they got me or something like that, and we're on the 500th day of training camp, and that kind of energy is out there. It's like, man, you're doing something right? So I think that's what every building around the league is trying to search for at this point in camp, where it is kind of a lull of guys, on the bubble trying to make it. There's a third preseason game coming up versus, guys who are truly trying to get better for week one. And it's like, how can you breed an environment of competition to where everybody's getting better at the end of the day? And so that's what it truly is all about.
I know you don't have a lot of interactions with Mac Jones just because you're on a different unit, but how is he in the chirping department?
I mean, you know Mac Jones. He got plenty to say, so he's not lacking in things to say. But at the end of the day, man, they're out there trying to play the position better than anybody. I think the talking and all that gets kind of lost, and that part is not as important as actually executing and doing your job.
How does that mindset training camp? You guys have kind of made it in a few weeks. Have you seen a growing of comfortability in Raheem's new system on the defense when it comes to the younger guys, when it comes to you guys all learning this new defense, and if so, how?
Yeah, I mean it's a constant process of finding mastery, right, at what you do. And, whether it's a new system, whether it's a new DC, which we've dealt with, over the past, 5 seasons, it's just a constant, just everybody's starting to really familiarize themselves with each other through the process. And, I've talked about it won't be a finished product come week one, right? We're going to have to try to find what's the best product that we can put on the field to win against the Rams. But it'll be a continual process of trying to figure out how to be the best defense for our team to ultimately win games.
Fred, yesterday you guys traded for Deion Jones, and I was just looking at some of his numbers. He's only 31. He's had 5 seasons with 100 tackles. He's a former Pro Bowler. Have you had a chance to talk to him? What do you think of that addition?
Yeah, no, I loved it. I've admired Deion's game for a long time. He came out in 2016 and flashed onto the scene pretty quickly over in Atlanta. I think he has like 5 career pick sixes. They ran our cover 3 scheme. So early on, my younger days of, trying to learn the system, we saw a lot of Atlanta's tape, and I watched him a lot. Like you said, Pro Bowler, has been around it, has great perspective for the room. And, I really like the addition. I think he'll help us.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, guys.